We are not looking at a new state of matter, but at a newly recognized relationship between consciousness and matter, which provides a more penetrating insight into the workings of prescience. The oracle shapes a projected inner universe to produce new external probabilities out of forces that are not understood. There is no need to understand these forces before using them to shape the physical universe. Ancient metal workers had no need to understand the molecular and submolecular complexities of their steel, bronze, copper, gold, and tin. They invented mystical powers to describe the unknown while they continued to operate their forges and wield their hammers. Mother Superior Taraza, Argument Council. Welcome back to Dune Saga, everyone. This is season 3 of our Dune campaign here on the Stolen Fires channel. I am Eric at Modern Recluse Online, your game master for this epic multi-arc adventure series, which continues tonight with our 5th storyline, Leviathan. As a content warning, this program features adult situations and language and may not be suitable for all ages, so listener discretion is advised. A very warm welcome and salutation to new and old viewers alike to the Stolen Fires channel here on Twitch, where there's always a Let's Play or awesome RPG live play to look forward to. Special music shoutouts go to Pixabay, Infraction, aka Kevin McLeod, for Midnight Tale, Repulsive Sound, Coag Music, Tabletop Audio, and Bleared Moon for the use of their excellent music. Many thanks to Modifius Entertainment for making awesome games for us to play. We want to thank Roll20 for the use of their virtual tabletop platform, which is perfect for hosting games just like Dune Adventures in the Imperium. And as always, we want to give a big thanks to our viewers and fans for tuning in. Our entourage is here and ready to engage in the deadliest of intrigues. Agents of the Imperium, remind our audience who you are, where they can find you online, and who you will be playing this evening. Beginning with Leo.
Hello, my name is Leo, and you can find me at Leo the Black here on Twitch doing random stuff. And today I'll be playing Archibald. Let's just see what happens today. Things are probably going to get a little crazy. And lots of spice will be hoarded.
The spice will flow. He.
Hello, I am Kisama. You can find me on Twitter at TrueKisama, and tonight I return as Pardo Reed, the Mentat.
Ambrose.
Hey everybody, I'm Ambrose. My pronouns are he or they. You can find me all over the internet as AmChangeling and on Etsy at Thornkind. Tonight I will be playing Naib Zoshir Tamer. And bear with me. I'm not feeling too well tonight, but I wanted to be with you all, so...
Appreciate you. Aaron.
Hello, everyone. I am Aaron. You can find me pretty much everywhere as Great Cthulhu in some fashion. My pronouns are anything except he, him. Tonight, I will be playing Eloise Cheshire. New year, new outfit, and soon drug-fueled visions to commence.
Hooray!
I can't wait for that.
Devin.
Hello, I am Devin. You can find me online at Sorta Sullied, and because I broke the video a minute ago, I'm Eloise Cheshire. No, I'm
Nope, I'm fixing it.
I blame that I can't see anything. But tonight I am playing Norma Conky Sen, and yeah, it's gonna be fun.
And of course, last but not least, Rachel.
Hello, my name is Rachel. I am fixer of body swap episodes. You can find me Stolen Fires pretty much everywhere. And I will be playing Lady Daphne, who has a lot of stuff to do and a lot of conversations to have. By a lot, I mean just one, with one person. Good times.
Yeah.
Oh
Excellent.
yeah, I remember that. That's going to be awkward.
Just a wee bit.
It's gonna be awkward for someone.
Now for a very short recap, if you would do me the honors on Ambrose.
Gladly. Kyra bleeds out at Amira's feet. Another Sayadina, Myrma, enters the room and freezes at the tableau before her. Her initial violent response is calmed by a gesture from Kyra. Myrma approaches and the two Bene Gesserit touch foreheads. As Kyra dies, Myrma collapses with a scream, blood coming from her nose. A scream alerts the face dancer guards, but Amira manages to sneak away to another ornithopter. Zoshir tries to bluff the face dancers, but they seem accepting of Kyra's death, especially after seeing her blood on his hand. She warned them what was coming, and having called her out, and presumably won, Zoshir is now Naib of Sahaya Tabir. Zoshir tries to decline, but this is deep Fremen custom. If he does not take it, someone will take it from him. And Kyra said this would happen. Naib Zoshir has her body prepared for the stills, but the funeral will not happen until Daphne arrives. The face dancer, Mirlat, agrees and begins carrying out his orders. Back on Jabberwock, Yeva continues cultivating her circle of sycophants. Daphne makes one final stop before returning to Arrakis, the garden. She first speaks with the warden, who details how several suborned guards made the switch possible. Perhaps face dancers were involved? Daphne wonders who would have the money to do this. On the warden's suggestion, her case will be returned to the Sisselrod, but Daphne wants to see her. She's alone and cold in her cell, still afraid and confused. She's sorry for what happened to Daphne's mother, but insists she didn't do anything. Daphne explains the new status of her case, which seems to comfort her. She also tells her of the real Alicia, and decides to give the clone a new name, Beatrice. Beatrice gazes into a cracked mirror, searching for memories and finding none. So Daphne tells her stories of growing up as young children. At the last, Daphne says, if Beatrice wins her freedom, there will be a place for her in the house. Or, if she'd prefer, they'll set her up to live in peace on her own. Meanwhile, Archibald and Yeva speak. Archibald hasn't yet paid the Tlilaxu, which will become a problem. But Archibald is confident he'll have the melange soon. The conversation turns to Omelas and how clearly Yeva is interested in accelerating the case against him, and thus his death. Archibald leaves some Varangian guard with her. Unbeknownst to him, however, Conky eavesdropped on the whole conversation and goes directly to Daphne. Indirectly, the Duchess agrees to have Yeva poisoned. But as soon as she gives the order, Daphne remembers her sister's anger at the house's callous treatment of a child. But there are currently living people, house members like Omelas, who need her protection. She'll feel guilty for the rest of her life, but does not call Conky back. We'll see what happens to Yeva within the month. Meanwhile, Amira returns to the palace. She refuses to tell Eloise any details, only that she's working for the guild and worried about blowback. Well, whatever happens, they'll deal with it together. Eloise the shield, and Amira the blade. A few days later, a package arrives for Eloise. 6 months worth of melange. Amira sees this and goes to meet her contact to receive her next assignment, Daphne Cheshire. While Amira is gone, Eloise calls in some guild favors to get access to some of the satellites above Arrakis. Observing what the Harkonnen are up to, she makes a terrible realization. When Shai-Hulud dies, the Fremen will gather to mourn him and collect his teeth for their crysknives. And that's when the Harkonnen will attack. She takes this insight straight to the Tiberii, or those of them here. They decide to tell Zoshir immediately, though he's been away for several days and the Mentat has been hoarding messages. When the Cheshires arrive at the spaceport, Pardo has an urgent message for her of an emergency at Kyra's siege. Conky takes the opportunity to hand over what she received from Omelas. Daphne delivers a message regarding the hexagon. To avoid suspicion, she returns to the palace before departing for Kyra's siege, and meets with Varus in a hidden spot at the conservatory. It's Colonel Mustard in the conservatory. She explains the guilt she feels over Randama's death, that the surviving of Cardus twin is after her and those around her, and more secrets she cannot speak. Raban is the least of her fears. They only have two choices: avoid being seen together, or Varus never leaves Daphne's sight. He decides to take the second option, confident he can protect them both. Meanwhile, Archibald makes certain arrangements to purchase explosives. He's brought to the South Pole where he meets Iblis and another smuggler contact. The Varangian guard are wary, and Archibald struggles in the heat. They negotiate over what Archibald wants: explosives designed to destroy infrastructure. That's possible, but for a very large price. And extra for discretion. And 25% paid up front. Archibald doesn't have that, but asks how the Fremen get their spice. The smuggler isn't sure, but suggests Archibald speak with Dr. Kynes. Archibald suggests bringing the smugglers in for more negotiations later. When Zoshir is informed that the Cheshire entourage approaches, he has them stalled while he speaks with Myrma. Sayadina is still weak, speaking in a little more than a whisper. She has seen so much and embraces Zoshir, weeping for the burden he now carries. The most important thing is that Kyra's trinket and journal must go to Daphne. Zoshir has Kyra's body prepared for Daphne to grieve over. Conky, Hurdy, and Sloane accompany Daphne and Varus. On the flight over, Daphne has the same dream again. The wolf, the sand, and the man with the Mala rifle. When the man shoots the wolf and pulls her free of the sandworm, she thinks she's safe. Then he stabs her in the heart. She awakes with a start, and Varus tries to comfort her. Daphne at first thinks the dream is for her brother and the danger he's in with his father. But what if it was for her? A group of Fremen greet them as they land, strangely subdued. Varus is fascinated, but Daphne sees steel in the gaze of Fremen eyes. Mirlot greets them and brings them to Naib, Zoshir. In the same room they've met with Kyra before. Zoshir is reluctant to deliver the bad news, and even more reluctant to reveal who did it. Daphne has to bluff him and threaten to use the voice before he reveals it was Mira, acting in some way to protect Eloise. When Zoshir brings her to Kyra's body, Daphne asks for some time alone. They grant it, but can't help but hear her sobs of grief. They give her time, but at some point the death stills await. As Kyra's body is dragged away, Daphne whispers a promise to continue her work and break the goddamn Imperium. Daphne commits to observing the Fremen funeral customs, including drinking some of Kyra's own moisture. In the Siege's central chamber, Kyra's body is placed in a large contraption, the Death Still. Zoshir delivers a touching eulogy, speaking of Kyra's love for her children and ambitions for the Imperium. Mirlot goes next, speaking of how Kyra saved his people and gave them a place, and how, by accepting her fate, she has chanted the universe for everyone. He makes sure her journal goes to Daphne. Myrma speaks of the risks Kyra took to protect her children. and the enemies she cultivated before taking her black Abba robe. Another face dancer speaks of how she gave him agency and takes her Gom Jabbar. Daphne goes next, expressing her wish they had more time together before taking her drink of water and taking the trinket. A small, familiar box containing the spirit fire, thing Adeline told her to deliver. Blue, glowing jewels, the sign of soulmates brought back together. Back at the palace, Eloise finally demands to know what's going on with Amira. Who is giving her this much spice? Amira finally confesses. She killed Kyra and Daphne as her next target. Eloise shuts that down immediately. But what else can be done? The withdrawals will kill Eloise if the guild doesn't. Eloise insists Amira claims she acted on the guild's woman's orders. It seems the only option left is to follow through with Archibald's two-pile scheme. Anything else looks like a power grab. Amira storms out of the room, and Eloise takes a massive amount of spice, trying to force a vision to see a way through. Back at the siege, Herdy and Nelia say they must speak with Soshir. Ever since he arrived as an orphan at Hagaharg, nothing has been the same. Arrakis has clearly chosen him. This makes many wary, but Herdy and Nelia believe in him. They must tell him the truth. His mother was a Sayadina, and his father, well, they hand over a small case of his parents' belongings, then a Jesuit robe, and his father's military uniform. It bears a noble sigil. Soshir isn't good with off-world heraldry, but he certainly recognizes this one. It's Harkonnen.
Excellent. Thank you for reading that so excellently, Ambrose. And thank you, as always, to Rachel for those excellent recaps. And now we can continue with Leviathan. All right, so I think I would like to begin with Pardo Reed. You've been busy lately, Marshal Reed. There's been a great amount of activity in and around the palace since you've arrived, or rather since you've arrived on Arrakis, and even after the Duchess had left to Jabberwock to deal with family business, such as it were. There was a great amount of things that occurred outside the palace that garnered your attention. One of which was the crime scene that you were brought to oversee. We begin with a series of ornithopters touching down on the desert sands just outside the Imperial Basin. It's noontime, so it's incredibly hot. You've been pushed into donning a authentic Fremen stillsuit, courtesy of the Tiberii and their access to the correct kind of stillsuit manufacturers. It's a little ill-form, fitting on you. You're not something that you're used to wearing as of yet, but it's you. After spending some time analyzing how it actually functions, you feel a little bit better getting into the confines of this suit. When the ornithopters touch down on the sands, your aides and the different security guards fan out on hover vehicles, basically in an effort to try to not attract the ire of a worm. Because this, you see, is where a particular ornithopter had crashed, and the victims are laid out before you on the sands. The fires of the ornithopter have long gone out, since it's been well over 24 hours since this event took place. The people that are on board are of House Chol, a minor house, so you've been told. but one that has come here to Arrakis to deal with the Harkonnens and do the bidding of Raban. Apparently, many of the escorts, many of the retainers for that house were lost in this terrible crash, and you've been sent to investigate. So as you exit, the door hisses open on the ornithopter, and a couple of guards bring over what seems to be a long onyx slab of suspensor material that you can step onto and just sort of hover just above the sands. They lead you to the scene of the crime, so to speak. You see a couple of the ornithopter seems to have fallen face first onto the sands and exploded. Something happened to more than likely the upper the upper areas of the vehicle. Something that you find somewhat familiar when your eyes sort of just glaze over it. You see the bodies splayed out in disarray in various graphic depictions of an untimely death. One, though, that seems to catch your eye seems to have been, once upon a time, a rather attractive looking woman in a very nice, stately looking dress, now spoiled with detritus and blossoms of blood across its otherwise untouchable canvas. You also see what appears to be a few of the seats that are in the back are empty of what you would expect to be like a VIP sort of person that's on board with this escort. It seems like there's only maybe 3 people aboard this ornithopter, which is an unusually small size for an entourage. You see, maybe there's a pilot, a co-pilot, and then the aforementioned woman in the dress. The security captain Hajan hands you a data pad, basically that has details on those that they've already identified as part of the crash. Rumi Vandana. Sorry, hold on, let me get the correct name for you. Nuri Randama of House Chol. She was the retainer that you recall being at the dinner, Raban's dinner, that was almost poisoned to death by the vipers that had attacked her initially when they first, opened unveiled her dinner for that evening. It was only through Daphne's efforts that she was saved at all. And here she is, dead, along with her 2 pilots. How would you like to proceed?
To confirm, the bodies are not in the thopter, right? They flew out. Is that correct? They're
it seemed to have hit. Yeah, it seemed to have hit head first into the sands, and one person, like the co-pilot, flew out of the front of the window and just kind of rolled and got mashed up, and the other 2 just kind of got crushed by the internals of the the entirety of the ornithopter compacting, such as it did from the impact. This is not a Cheshire-made ornithopter, so it's not made to withstand these sort of crashes.
It's not built to last.
It's not built to last, correct.
And so the bodies are splayed out as such that it does not look like they tried to escape the crash. They died on impact.
They died on impact, or at least that's what it appears as. He's like, Hajan is just like, we didn't look much further than this, Marshal Reed. We left the investigating to you. I suppose you have a better head for this sort of thing, regardless.
As he is saying this to Pardo is currently running the numbers, trying to guarantee that the trajectory of the one body that did fly out of the thopter does make logical sense if they were of like the normal range for thopters above the ground and they collide with the ground. Does the force of the body make sense?
And you're like, what caused the sabotage, or what caused the was the sabotage, or were they shot down over the Dune Sea? And go ahead and give me a understand roll. Difficulty 3.
This feels like pursuit of justice.
Oh.
which is Pardo's
Yes.
weakest drive. And would deductive reasoning apply as a
I would say
focus?
so, yes. Yeah.
Excellent.
2 successes.
Two successes.
Did you have a you don't have a statement with justice, do you?
I do not.
You do not. You currently do not have any momentum. However, I could be coerced to give you an extra die to roll if you would like to purchase one for 2 threat.
2 threat.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
We've been buying a lot of threat, just so you know.
That's not too many. That's what?
we've
1, 2, 3, 4,
we've been
10.
playing
11.
Pardo reads, you might say.
What's 2 more threat?
What's 2 more threat?
What's
among
2
friends?
more?
Sure. Go ahead and roll an extra die and see if you get anything beneath an 11. You got an 11. That's a success. So you meet, you just have to meet or roll below the threshold there, and you got 3 successes in full. Yeah, you're looking at it and you're like, they weren't shot down because that would the area around the ornithopter would have been filled with debris as well, say from a missile or other like if it was shot from behind or from anywhere around, it would have left shrapnel, it would have left some sort of evidence. And judging by the way that this hit, it looks like it was driven to crash. Meaning either there's some sort of mechanical failure or something else happened aboard this ornithopter to cause the crash. Did you want to take a closer look, or did you want to examine the ornithopter closely, or is there something specific that you wanted to do while you're here?
Pardo will take 1 swig of his sappho juice before relaying his stream of consciousness to his second tier, and then go into the thopter to conduct a deeper investigation of the mechanisms, perhaps the actual piloting apparatus.
Hajan is in the meanwhile holding a data pad in one hand, and in the other hand he's holding a power saw and just holding it over you like this to kind of shield you from the intense heat of the sun. It gets something like 300 and something degrees out here at this point in time, so it is an awful time out here, even in the shade. So as you start to sort of get closer to try to amble onto the ornithopter to get a hands-on view of what's going on, he cautions you. He's like, "Sir, we may want to be careful exploring the debris here. Even this close to the Imperial Basin, there are worms that can be alerted to rhythmic vibrations, so I've been told."
Then we would do well as to not dance within the thopter then. Unfortunate.
He goes to say something and then thinks not and doesn't say anything else. He's like, "Yes, please be cautious, sir." I need to move difficulty 2 check from you, please.
Difficulty. I need to stop putting Pardo in situations where he needs to move. This is not.
Pardo's like, "It's okay. I know how to move. I'm hip."
I know how to walk rhythmically. I do it every day. This feels like duty. What must be done must be done. If I do not go into this thopter, the mystery will not be solved. I have an obligation to go further, as it is already started.
Correct.
That is 1 success.
And a complication.
Oh, rough.
So, if you were to succeed and get a complication, it wouldn't be too bad, but you failed and you got a complication. So, you have a few choices ahead of you here. Do you have a statement under your duty?
What must be done must be done.
So you can spend a point of determination to turn that 20 into a 1, making it so that you get 3 successes instead of just the 1. Would you like to do that?
I would.
Excellent. So you walk away with a momentum and no complication, and you're like, all right, I gotta do this. And you step onto the fractured wing of the ornithopter. You start to make your way closer inside. You start looking and scanning and just sort of reimagining in your mind. Like in your mind, it's like the ornithopter gets put back together and goes flying back into the air, and like you kind of in your mind replay the crash, and then you see how everything just sort of came apart, and you're like, aha, yes, and like you're just kind of sort of putting it all together. This thing was not shot out of the sky, and you suspect it's something similar to what happened on Jabberwock. So you look closely at the mechanics above, where like the ornithopter wings, kind of come out and extend. You know that there was a mechanism there that was tampered with that caused Beatrice and Federico's death. You don't find that there. So that leads you to the next logical conclusion. Something must have happened on board this ornithopter. So you look a little closer. You spot blood splatters on the inside of the on the consoles, which are irregular. You see the blood splatters that are on the upper recesses of the cabin are inconsistent with the ones that were delivered onto the console. It's like the trauma came from two different directions, perhaps to different points in time. Give me, do you have discipline or a focus in observation?
I do not have a focus in observation.
What about your mentat talents? I believe you have something that you can spend a point of momentum, if I'm not mistaken, and ask me a question. Or something. Actually, I don't even think you have to spend a point of momentum, if I'm mistaken.
My mentat talents.
I think it's like you walk into a room or into a situation, and you can ask one question without having to pay for it. Whereas usually we need to succeed in a roll and then pay a point of momentum.
What I have is once per scene, I may substitute any skill for understand.
Correct.
My understand rolls become. Whenever I obtain information with momentum, I get to create a free trait. And I may spend momentum to just ask true or false questions. These are
there
my
you go.
skills.
Well, you have a point of momentum currently if you wanted to expend one and ask a question.
Think of a true or false question.
Yes.
Yes.
John switches from a data pad to a set of oil binoculars, and he's just kind of starts scanning the surface in a somewhat paranoid manner, like, no sign of, no worm sign.
So, my question. Collecting all of the data.
You can opt to try to gather more information, in which case you can roll understand instead of discipline to see if you notice anything as your mind palace is putting together the scene, this forensic scene in your mind.
I need more information before I start asking the big questions.
Yeah, John is like, I don't mean to rush you, sir, but are you getting close to a conclusion? And you're like, I need more data. Go ahead and roll your understand. Oh, hey, that's 3. All right, you're gonna get another momentum out of that one. Okay, so you have 2 momentum right now. Excellent. You notice an interesting detail among the 3 deceased people inside this ornithopter. The blood splatter that you noticed before onto the consoles that was inconsistent with the other ones from the crash. It was because someone inside the ornithopter stabbed them and then drove the ornithopter to crash.
the only. The splatter here indicates the withdrawing of a knife.
But that's impossible, sir. Who could escape a falling ornithopter? You saying someone sabotaged this flight from the inside and drove them? Like
And
someone
now,
caused this to happen?
My question. I spend one momentum. Verify. Was this a suicide mission?
No.
Is there no survivors at all? And this was someone's last mission?
This was someone. This was very intently done by someone who has very good precision. Like you see, like they killed every single person in this ornithopter with one stroke of a blade, and then just pushed the steering of the thopter to crash outside the Imperial basin. And whilst they were doing that, before it hit, they managed to jump out or find some other way of escape off of this falling ornithopter and get to safety. You're dealing with the professional here.
And Pardo's running the data. He turns and he smiles. This is no mere assassination. This was professional. This is a good use of my talents.
Whoever this person was, obviously was within close proximity of the deceased, meaning they knew this person, or they were part of their entourage.
This is going to be a very weird question.
Okay.
Would Pardo be able to calculate, based on the wind currently and data from Arrakis, which way the wind would have been blowing approximately around the time this ornithopter would have crashed, assuming that there is some sort of timekeeping device on the ornithopter that would have stopped, given that the entire ornithopter just was destroyed. So based on the clock, figure out, okay, it was 14 hours ago. The wind is blowing in this direction currently. I have a map. I know vaguely how the weather works on this planet because it's 300 degrees right now. Which way would the wind need to take someone to just like paraglide away? Or are we dealing with someone who has like a tiny ornithopter that they
wouldn't fit in something like that if that's what you're referring to? But yeah, maybe something like a glide suit or something like that, something advanced to get away. Definitely somebody who can operate a device like that, perhaps. Yeah, you could maybe say like, well, if this happened at approximately 10,000 feet or something like that, they'd have X amount of time to get away, and if they have this sort of equipment, they might have gotten to about over there. Of course, who has records of what happened here over the last 24 hours is nobody, essentially. Not even the guild, especially since you guys locked up that the use of their satellites. They don't have records like that showing what happened only a few nights ago. It's difficult to tell, especially this close to the Imperial Basin, where this person could have ended up. There's like dozens of small little villages and towns inside the basin itself, in addition to Carthag and Arakim. So this person must have done this either with some sort of a backup plan or some sort of knowledge of the terrain of where they can go after something like this was to occur.
Okay. So, figuring out the wind at the time, not possible, but the general radius of where someone would have landed with like a wingsuit or a paraglider of some sort.
Yeah, it's like the outer ridges of the shield wall. Correct.
Wall. Mobilize a search.
John
party.
remarks. Oh, sorry.
Mobilize some search parties. We need to find this. 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 need to search for.
We're searching for an individual, sire.
An individual. One individual.
Very well. And he kind of like, talks to the subdermal microphone, and like teams start, ornithopters start taking off into the air, and he's just like, if we're finished here, there have been some developments at the palace that are where you are needed.
Naturally. All right then.
They bring you on
Waddles out of
board.
the ornithopter.
Yeah. They bring you on board, and just as you're heading back to the palace, you get reports that you're fielding some information that they hand you about one of the maids that went into the basement of the palace that became poisoned after they attempted to change the bed sheets in what is apparently some sort of a room down there close to the shield generator, where it sort of acts like a makeshift barracks. They just died. There's no indication as to what killed them, so the body is now with Dr. Sloan. So he'll have something for you probably within the next couple hours. He's been looking it over for the past 24 hours, so he probably has a good diagnostic or diagnosis of what happened, what occurred. Just as you're arriving on the palace, though, you see that there's a flurry of activity as teams are moving to the top of the guest rooms, where apparently somebody has collapsed. You kind of follow the activity up, and you see among the security guards is the woman in all the many colored flowing robes, Amira. She seems particularly distraught and angry. She's rushing over to the room this way, and they're trying to like knock down the door, and they finally gain access to it, and they find Elois unconscious on the floor. Elois.
Hello.
Let's begin with you now, shall we? Your mind is dwarfed in the midst of an overwhelming river that flows from the beginning until the end of time. It stretches out before you as this unstoppable river and threatens to overcome you with moments that were or are yet to come. Here they are before you, forming and taking shape. Your mind is like a vessel cast in a maelstrom. The waves that break against your hull flood the small spaces of structure. They invade your senses and provide glimpses of what may be. Inundated, you catch glimpses of something far more intrinsic to the inner workings of time and space. Abandoning the drowning vessel, you embrace the churning waters of this change. You see at last the nexus points that Edric had warned about. 5 individuals whose powers of prescience cloud the otherwise oracular powers of the Guild Navigators. It is at this juncture in time that you see these 5 points rotating around a central axis. Like satellites rotating around a dark star, this is an unseen cosmology that you are inherently a part of. Undoubtedly, Kyra was one of those points, followed by Massum. Daphne, for certain, but the 5th is an unknown factor. You see Kyra's nexus wink out of existence, and the entirety of the pathways leading into the future splinter and break off into eternity. Like an impossible tree whose branches reach out to a yet unseen future, you're left looking at the pathways that lead into that far-flung future. What do you seek?
Now that I'm aware of the nexus points, is there a way to leverage them to blind the navigators even further?
To keep them alive, they certainly will continue to do what they've done so far, which is to keep them blind to the future, or a certain future at least.
Okay.
Your very existence muddles their vision. You suspect, of course, that before Amira is through with her current charge to remove the Duchess, that you will inevitably be next. perhaps they'll leave you for last.
I want to follow my own path, my own nexus point. I want to see where it branches off.
You want to see your fate specifically. Okay.
Yes.
There are certain variations, different possibilities that exist, but all of them are, there's a lot of information here. Because apparently you're a key, like I said, you're a key point in this fixture. Give me a discipline check, please.
Okay.
This is going to be considerable, because this is, as you attempt to try to parse these paths, it's like diving headfirst into a raging river and trying to keep yourself from getting thrown in one direction or the other. It's too much at once, oftentimes, is what you see. Normally you can catch glimpses of things, and usually it doesn't specify with an individual. In this particular case, you're trying to be very specific. So difficulty 4.
Okay. I will use a momentum, but I see we only have 2 currently. Can I also buy some another dice with threat for a total of 4 dice?
You absolutely can. 2
Great.
threat for you.
Also have 2 momentum as well.
Right. I will spend a momentum and then take 2 threat for 4 dice total.
Excellent.
And then I'm gonna go with duty on this. I think this is a duty thing.
Sure. Makes sense. Okay. You're doing this for your house, not for yourself.
I mean, can it be both?
I don't know. Are you the house?
Fair.
Power play right there.
If it makes you feel better, I already have Eloise's fate planned
out. No pressure.
Question, I have self-control or discipline, would that apply here?
Yes, absolutely it will.
Cool. All right, let's go.
Oh, nice.
Holy hell.
Perfect.
4. I love it.
Well done. Well done. Okay. Of course, in my games, sometimes success is the bad thing, but we'll get to that in a minute. You become aware that you, yeah, right, you should know. You become aware that you and other Cheshires are being monitored by someone with the ability to be in many places at once. You don't know exactly what this means, however. It's almost like when you're parsing the different paths that lead into the future, you're not alone, but you can't quite put your finger on what this presence is, who this person is, this entity, whatever it is. But you're not alone, and you don't feel like you're alone in doing this. But it's more like they're an observer or someone who's a backseat driver, just watching you drive, experiencing what you're experiencing.
Oh, okay. I will pull out. if they are watching me, then I'm pulling out.
It's terrifying for sure. Let's see. It's starting to become too much. Do you turn to face them? Like you feel them behind you. In a sense, like as you're trying to observe and see different things happening. You get glimpses of your own future because you roll 4 successes. You see one fate is the one that you saw previously, and you see it with a little bit more clarity this time. It's not so much your fate, it's your fate without Amira, because in this one she's being dragged before the magistrate, and they're going to issue an order that involves her fate. The magistrate in this particular case is this, and in one it's an emperor, and it's Massam sitting on the throne. and Amira is being called to answer for the murder of Daphne Cheshire and others of your family. And you're here to bear testimony, to bear witness to her crimes, and perhaps to be tried with conspiracy. In another flash, it's something similar where you are actually, taking the blame instead of Amira for these crimes. You take the blame, and so of course you have to face the ultimate arbiter. But in this particular case, it's not Emperor Masamune, it's Empress Daphne, cold and terrible on her throne, looking down at you, having found you at last, ready to give the order to have you executed. Will she do it? And that's where things get a little muddy, and that's where you feel that presence behind you. Do you turn to face this?
100%, yes.
Oh my.
You turn to face them, and you glimpse something inhuman, something not quite human any longer, something familiar and yet alien at the same time. And the sheer horror of what you witness sends you reeling back from your vision and into the current moment. I need you to choose a condition for your character. Either from now on you will be paralyzed by choice, or you will be impulsive and reckless in what you do.
Oh, let's go impulsive and reckless.
Yeah, I would go.
Fantastic. Okay. Go ahead and put that on your character sheet. Just then, Pardo and the guard arrive in the room to see what's happening. To anyone's knowledge, there's no such thing as overdosing on melange, but Amira is beside herself with worry, and she's like, "Fetch the souk doctor, Dr. Sloan, where is he?" Pardo, you can react as Elois is like currently, her eyes are rolling into the back of her head.
My immediate reaction is verify, is Eloise currently dying? But I feel like a discipline check might be able to cover that instead of running all of the numbers.
Yeah, no, you easily can just walking into the room and looking at her and checking her pulse. She's elevated heartbeat, like this might be considered some sort of like a epileptic, event or something like that. But obviously it's not that, because it has to do more with melange than anything else. But yeah, she's definitely in a state that you've never seen before. And you see like she's just kind of like in the throes of a vision, like the oracles of old. And Amira's like, Elois, she's calling your name. For a moment, you get a glimpse of her face as you're slowly coming to, just as Dr. Sloan enters the room and goes to check on you personally. You awaken to all these faces hovering around you in your bedroom. Elois, how do you respond?
Someone's watching us. Someone's watching all of us.
What? Wait, calm down. Dr. Stone, can you give her something? And you see Dr. Stone's like, for melange, I don't know. Hold on. He's like, this is a mild sedative. And like kind of just presses something into your neck, and you hear like a tsk, and you just feel like waves of comfort, like, warmth going over you just as you're coming out of this in this alarmist state. Amira's like, please wait, calm down. And the sedative soon starts to take effect, and you find yourself going back to sleep, everything shutting down, getting darker. And as your consciousness descends, you hear a voice, an inhuman voice. How did you know I was here? You see Dr. Stone's like, her vitals are, he has his hands like, and his eyes closed, his hands are pressed along her neck area. She's calming down now. She's returning to normal. I suggest we get her to the med bay right away. And you see the guard, it's like, right away. And they bring like a hover sled over, and they start hoist Elois onto it. And Amira is like, I will be present for this. I shall not be excluded from visitation. You see Dr. Stone's like, of course, you may attend, but I need you to stay out of my way, please. I don't understand the properties of melange like perhaps the Fremen do. Please. went one way, and like they start making the way down to the med bay. Pardo Reed, you start getting a message on your communinet that there's an incoming flood of ornithopters coming from the South Polar regions. It appears our General Archibald Cheshire, or sorry, Archibald. Oh my God, I'm blanking on the name here. Librius has arrived with his entourage. Archibald, you've arrived with after your long overnight discussion with the 2X. You're here to speak to Elois Cheshire about potentially hatching some sort of a ploy together, perhaps that would help in your ambitious endeavors. But as you arrive, you see one of the aides comes up to ask you, like, "Hey, is everything okay? Is there anything that we need to do for you?" And you inquire about Elois, and she's like, and they're like, "Oh, she was just been admitted to the med bay. Something happened to her. I think she overdosed on melange, if that's possible."
Yeah, honestly, I'd be very worried. I would probably go and check on her, see if she's all right.
Excellent. All right, you head down to check, and you see Dr. Sloan is there, and it's like, "Please, there's entirely too many people in this office right now. Please," he's like, "Please give me some room." And he's like, checking with certain devices to see what her, blood levels are and everything like that, to see if everything's normal. And she's like, "Your body is completely saturated with spice. How much did she take?" Elois, how much melange did you take?
I marked off a month. I marked off a
Holy
month
fuck.
worth.
Jesus Christ!
You just took a brick of melange, like
You literally just took
Tony Montana style.
Like, yeah, I say the Tony Montana fucking
like a
plate.
fucking
Just
brick of cocaine. Just wow.
All right, so they're working to try. He hooks up several devices to try to basically cleanse the melange out of her system. You all see this happen, those of you that are present. And Amira is just pacing the room nervously, like, is she going to be okay? Is the result of this going to be permanent? What do you know about? And then finally, Dr. Stone's like, "I don't know. I'm sorry." It's like, I'm trying to do everything that I can. I'm trying to stabilize her first and get get this narcotic out of her system. It's going to take some time, you understand? Please, it would probably be best if you stepped outside. We can talk more there. Perfectly spiced, goddammit. Is there anything that you do? Pardo, you are here with Archibald at the moment. You've gotten enough information in your time at the palace about all manner of different things through your investigation. You can decide to share those things with him or not. It's up to you. This is probably the first time since you've seen each other since you departed Archibald for Jefferwalk.
Pardo, it's nice to see you. It's been a while. How have you been lately?
Things here have been difficult to say the least. I would not have it any other way.
Sounds like you have your hands full. Is there anything I can maybe of use to you?
There might just be.
Before you say anything, out of context, super paranoid Archibald and his little doohickey.
Okay, you go into an adjoining room, just the two of you, and you see Archibald puts on an Ixian dampener, so no sound is entering or escaping the confines of this field. Obviously, he has something very private to share with you.
That's better. Pardo, you may proceed.
No. Just this entire time, Pardo is also paranoid because there's a master assassin somewhere, and someone was just poisoned recently. So he has no idea who to trust, who he's going to be talking about the recent sabotage Thopter.
Check your sides. I sent you all the relevant information that you've been able to gather over the past couple of months in your, as you've been retaining information and kind of putting things together piece by piece.
My size too, or just his?
This is all the information that you've gotten since the trip back from Jabberwock. It's a lot of information, so take your time. But in the meantime, you can discuss things with Archibald or not. It's up to you completely.
Oh my god, it's so much information. Yeah, okay. So so much information.
You could chew on it for a while. But is there something that you wanted to ask or speak to Pardo about, Archibald? He seems hesitant to have this discussion at the moment. He obviously has a lot of things going on at the same time. Many spinning plates for the Marshal of House Cheshire.
And Pardo is going to be trying to like mask the fact that he does not necessarily trust the Archibald that sits in front of him by like tapping his hand on the desk, on like the table in the room, and like trying
There's
to
a chops
bring
board
up like,
here.
right, suggest before we continue, perhaps we should set up a game of chops for old time's sake. Yes.
By all means.
Excellent.
Let's do it. And so what I'm gonna do, can I do an observe check to kind of gauge his feelings on this to see if he's like unsure about me or something?
Oh, sure. You can. Yeah, you can do a discipline observation.
Discipline observation, you said, right?
Correct.
Okay. We'll do truth. Why not? We'll spend this one.
Mm-hmm.
I do have focus on this, yes. Jesus.
Complication.
Oh my
One
god,
success.
that's so dumb. But one success. I got one success.
Okay, unless you wanted to spend any additional currency, such as it seems that you already have because you rolled 3. So that's gone. You can pay me more threat if you want to roll an additional die. It'll cost you 3 though instead of 2.
Everyone's giving out threats, so might as well.
Sure, let it rain.
This is a
Could possibly go
terrible
wrong.
trend.
What is it?
I get the 30 threat.
Oh, what's the die that I have to roll?
D20, same as before.
I think
So
at
one
30,
makes you
roll
roll
13 or less.
right.
Okay, you
I
got
think
2 successes.
30 threat Shai-Hulud just eats everybody.
No, 30 threat. What happens is what occurred to Key's character in the last season, where he gets abducted by the Tylaxian, turned into a sleeper agent. Stuff like that happens. Almost there, guys. So
the chaos ray.
you're hyper observant of Pardo as he's setting up the chops table. Of course, Marshal Reed is always observant. Are you, in particular, paying attention to Archibald as you're setting up the chops table? Are you you said you were scrutinizing him to check for, so you can use your understand instead of discipline to see if there's anything off about his behavior?
Specifically, one thing that Pardo would do, in addition to like analyzing every single like movement that Archibald makes, Archibald, is there like which side of the board would you have usually played on? Like the light pieces or the dark pieces?
Oh, that's a good question. To be honest with you, he would make sure he would take whatever you don't. So if you took, he would take black.
Okay.
If you took black, he would take white.
So then Pardo sets up the board and then offers to Archibald which side he wants to see the reaction that he makes. Because if Archibald just goes for the pieces, she's like, yeah, I'll take this side, then that's suspicious.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, this is Archibald. If he's being courteous, like, no, after you, yeah, that would be Archibald.
Excellent.
By all means, Pardo.
So you don't even have to get a roll to see that it is, in fact, the same Archibald that you commissioned to play a round of chops with you when you were in prison on Jabberwock and the bowels of the palace dungeon. But there's something unusually on edge about Archibald at the moment. Like, he is undoubtedly, like, nervous about something. Paranoid, one might say. Proceed.
And Pardo takes the dark pieces and confronts Archibald very directly after moving one of the little pawns forward. Something troubling you, Archibald?
By no means. I'm just trying to figure out this spice raid. You didn't hear? Just trying to figure it out. We have very little information and everybody seems to not be worried about it. Everyone kind of seems like they have other plans other than the spice raid. I have my plans. It'll be discussed more when we get more information, but there's a lot more work that needs to be done. And also when I'm playing chops, I would also like do like Archibald's signature move whenever they would play, just to kind of ease him more that it's actually me.
Pardo, he hasn't changed a bit since Jabberwock. You tried to instruct him on new strategies, but he's holding fast to his his stratagems.
Pardo does this little things never change.
By no means, same for you.
Speaking of work, how is Omelis doing?
Melis?
After he left the service of House Cheshire and all.
To be honest with you, it's probably the biggest mistake I've made.
What makes you say that?
Because Yeva's done a lot of things. I feel like she's got a little bit more of a screw loose here and there.
This is an interesting admission, Marshal Reed. The general has just admitted that his wife, the Countess, has been overstepping her boundaries, it seems, recently.
To no avail.
Pardo makes an incredibly bold move with one of the bishops as he continues to play therapist almost. What is Yeva overstepped in, would you say? Is this purely a lover's quarrel, or is she...
No. She thinks Omelis tried to take our lives by a simple note. To me, that's not enough information. Let's just say she put us into a hard spot.
See.
You know that Omelis has been jailed recently by Yeva on Jabberwock, which is alarming because, as you know, he is part of this hexagon conspiracy, if you want to call it that. This Council of Mentats, the secret organization, fraternity, if you will, of Mentats that basically trade information with one another, very valuable information, oftentimes encrypted, in which case only other Mentats that are aware of the cipher can break that code and are able to gain that information. You have the information that was taken off of his hands or acquired by the palace on Jabberwock clandestinely by a certain handmaiden of the Duchess, but you haven't gone through. You haven't had the time yet to go through and research it all. But all of Omelis's information from the hexagon that he had recently is there, including his own potential reports.
Now, admitting to the existence of a secret society is not what Pardo wants to do today after such a long
Precisely.
time. So Pardo will start being subtle. Just, I see. It's quite worrying. Say, Archibald, have you ever considered why the Cheops board is set up the way it is? All of these different sections, different layers. As he, gestures to the giant pyramid structure that is the Cheops board.
I always thought it was about strategy.
Of course. All strategies, all plans, they have layers. See. All the pieces move from one region to another. Sacrifices made. Gambits played out. But in the end, it's two individuals who control all the pieces.
And I would like to actually, could I do a roll on that 2-part to see if he was actually applying that towards me or to a general?
It's clear that he's, making an illusion between the two of you and the game itself. Like you're pushing pawns on a board.
Okay.
This is this isn't not just about strategy. It's about power. It's about control.
And you're not wrong, Pardo. But I also feel like Daphne and the others, they think that I want the same power they have. I don't want that. Whether you like to believe it or not, whether Eloise or Daphne or anyone, I don't want a Cheshire. So I find it kind of insulting, even though I've said that and I made that very clear, that I still, to a certain extent, get dismissed. That's upsetting. I do have plans, just like Daphne has hers.
Are you
I
proposing
guarantee
to
if I got-
Pardo that to be part of your plans?
I'd love to.
You insinuated such to him over your friendly little game of chops?
I wouldn't tell him, but I would just kind of give like, hey, like in the chops.
I have my own ambitions, and they exceed whatever is happening.
Exactly.
Currently.
Well, I would do like a move that was a pretty big move, emphasizing the future's gonna change here real goddamn quick.
He's making bold moves. He's insinuating that the plans that he's putting together here on Arrakis far exceed anything that up to this point has been planned by your house.
I see.
You suspect he may not be alone in this, but you're not sure to what extent somebody like Yeva would be involved in those plans. It was in the last meeting he did state that he trusted Yeva implicitly, even though he's a little squirrely about admitting as such initially.
One thing, Pardo, I do want to say. I do learn from my mistakes. And to a certain extent, you could see it. Daphne probably saw it. Marrying Yeva was definitely more of a political and power move. At least everyone here can probably recognize that. Yes, it was the quickest way to get power, but was it the most efficient? I feel like it's causing me some trouble later down the line.
Queen does have more range than the king.
And
now, are you aware, King Archibald, that you too are a piece on the board?
explicitly.
What if I were to inform you that neither you nor I nor anyone on the board is in control here?
I wouldn't be surprised.
What if I were to inform you that the players are named Dofcardis, and we have been made pawns, all of us?
Wouldn't surprise me, considering there's still one twin alive, and I do feel like, and I have a sneaking suspicion that there's more than just them alive. You can't tell me just those two are off planet.
Precisely. I suspect that there are more pieces than we can see currently at play, but their actions have very visible repercussions. And Pardo just takes one of his pawns and just chucks it over his shoulder. Just both of our houses are being affected by this in ways that are very incriminating. And Pardo will reach for one of Archibald's pieces and move it to where the pawn was, as if to suggest that one person has been framed for a crime they did not commit. Likely
Excellent.
one of the bishops or one of the advisor type pieces, implying Omelis.
You're starting to pick up on what Marshall Reed is putting down Archibald, and he seems to be suggesting that the expendable pawns that are being used against you all is not going to end with the casualties experienced thus far. This may expand to others within the house, and likely sooner rather than later.
I agree. But there's one thing that needs to happen, though, as well. My house needs to survive, too.
Of course.
And one thing we need to talk to Daphne about is if we do get with the Lamb's Rod, we could probably pull the Q of insane, but still gonna look very bad for my house. So I want to save him. I want to get him out of prison. That's what I want. But it's also at the risk of destroying my reputation as well.
There it is. He drops it right in front of you. He wants to get your assistance in breaking Omelis out of prison. That's a big ask, considering the current state of affairs politically and otherwise on Jabberwock at the moment. But you have to be privy. You're not entirely briefed on what happened on Jabberwock since Daphne and the others returned, but Well, you would have to wait for the Duchess to get back for that before you could proceed with such a perceived plan like of such magnitude of breaking him out. Especially considering when there was already a breakout at that prison, presumably with the Duchess's sister Alicia, the real Alicia. Speaking of which, let's go back to Sihaya Tabir, where Naib Zashir, Duchess Daphne, and Conquest Sen are currently with the Fremen tribe there and the face dancers' adherents to Kyra at post the Fremen uh, funeral ritual. We're going to say it's the next day after you've had some time to grieve and to recuperate. They bring you all into the central chamber. Excuse me. I forget. Mirlat, the head face dancer, brings you into the chamber and to sit down and discuss what plans the Naib has moving forward now that Kyra has been taken to the death stills. Mirlat is saying that there would have to be a convening of the Naibs. A council will have to be called. That means getting word to people like Stilgar, for example, and putting together a council to basically address what just happened with Kyra and how the Fremen and the tribes are going forward. Zashir, you've attended summits like this in the past, just as security for your own Naive for Nawan, and you know how this sort of thing goes, and it doesn't happen very often, but you can see how with the current state of affairs things can fall into rancor very easily. So he brings you into like this central chamber, and there's like seating on the floor that Kyra utilized, and Merlot is like, we need to discuss what needs to happen next with regards to the Razia and calling together the teams for a formal council. And it's like, what do you say, Naib?
I'd say the sooner the better. We need to get moving on this, Razia.
I understand we're losing time. And it's like, but they're going to need to know about the recent changes here. They're going to need to know about your authority in particular. It will matter, especially if we're going to command the Fremen forces on the field against the Harkonnens. They will need to recognize your authority officially.
Yes, and that would assist with planning a little more on the Razia. I would like for Lady Daphne to be there at this summit. And then
he frowns, but doesn't say anything.
If it's permitted, I'll attend. I don't know what I can contribute.
Murloc clarifies his stance. I would not object personally, Your Grace, but the other Naibs may have reservations about allowing an outframe into Fremen matters such as that.
Well,
uh
I will tell them that I am trying to finish Kyra's work and they can make of that what they will.
Merlot is like, well... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, he was just going to say that it seems like an excellent reason.
I don't doubt this at all, he says in response. It's like, I'm not sure, well, despite that Kyra was known among the other Naibs as being an exception, not everyone adhered to her vision. This will take some convincing before this. Do you feel that you're prepared adequately to convince the other naibs to throw their weight behind your candidacy?
I can be very persuasive.
Not only that,
He's
House Cheshire has offered resources towards Thracia.
Indeed, they have. This could be used as a bargaining chip, perhaps. You need to induct Lady Daphne as an official part of the tribe, however. If the Fremen are going to respect you and your authority, and to bring you as part of the tribe, you will need to become part of the tribe. He says. Are you? He kind of makes the observations of, you are Sayadina as well, yes? Or you've been trained as such?
I have. Before I say anything, I must know if becoming a member of a Fremen tribe would conflict with my obligations to my house.
It may, depending on how your house stands with regards to the Fremen in general and their operations on Arrakis.
Overall, we're friendly.
It's like you may certainly have that relation with them. However, these this sort of alliance will need to be tested, and there is as speaking to someone outside of the Fremen tribe, it has occurred to me that they have certain rituals that will need to be enacted first to bring you into their community. They call it a mingling of the waters. And as such, Sihaya Harg has no, or sorry, Sihaya Tabir has no Sayadina currently, or at least none that is, well, certainly we have Myrma, but she has been afflicted since her correspondence with Kyra, she explained. When she says when he says correspondence, you realize what he's talking about. You've been taught by the Bene Gesserit, Daphne, know that they Reverend Mothers possess the ability to share their knowledge. And the one way they do that by taking an illuminating poison that opens their other memory. Something that you could potentially champion as a way of ingratiating yourselves into the Fremen society. However, this comes at a great risk, because if you take the water of life, you may live or you may die.
Daphne looks to Conky. Like, you certainly have something to say right now, I bet.
Oh, this is so much fun. You get to see your mom again.
Really?
Oh, dearie, didn't we tell you? I'll get a little bit closer. Your genetic memory will bring your mother back to you as far as one in your own mind would be.
Both of them?
I can't be certain about Kyra, but your mother definitely. It'll just be a nice family reunion.
There might be
Daph-
another option if you're not willing to take the risk.
Oh, no. I'm willing. I'm willing to take the risk if you're willing to perform this ritual on behalf of an Outframe member of the nobility.
As far as I'm concerned, you're no outframe.
I suspect my problem-solving tactics are very different from what a Fremen would do.
Perhaps. However, your mother was a member of this tribe.
Well, if your tribe is willing to do it, I will undergo this ritual.
It sounds like a yes. You see, Merlot is like, if you're certain about this, Naive, then I will consult with Myrma and ensure that the proper steps are taken and the proper precautions. They will drown a little maker, and we will acquire the poison necessary to conduct the ritual.
How long will these preparations take?
12 to 24 hours. We'll stay another day here and we can perform the ritual. Um, you can have it just locally with the Fremen in this siege, if you wish.
I should return to the city, because if this ritual is as risky as you say, I need to make arrangements.
It's more than just what you've been told. Um, Hearing Kyra talk about when she became a Reverend Mother, taking the illuminating poison changes you. You go into the chamber as one type of person and you leave as another. Because contained within your consciousness are all of the voices of your ancestors. All of their experiences are now yours to experience. All of their knowledge. Limited, of course, by the female side, but it's yours nonetheless. It will change you as a person. If you're prepared for something like this, if you're willing to make that sacrifice of yourself for the sake of the siege, for the sake of Kyra and her vision, then we will make it so. And when you are ready and prepared, then we will enact the ritual, and you will become Sayadina.
I accept. I will
And it
leave
is
it.
done.
Oh.
It's like I understand if you need to take some time to get things arranged before this is concluded, and it's like I will give word to Murmur and the others to make preparations. They shall be ready when you are prepared. Um, I believe your retinue had some words with you. My Naive. I will take my leave unless there's anything else, any other questions for me.
No other questions. However, I would like to send a face dancer with Lady Daphne.
To impersonate you?
No, merely another Tiberii.
Uh, my my house is in a cold war with the face dancers. I'm not sure that's advisable. So as I say that, I'm gonna look over to Varys, just watching his reaction.
I'm assuming that Varys wasn't even in on this conversation, just because this is very sensitive information.
Okay. All right.
And Miralot was kind of like, no, unless you absolutely can vouch for this guy, he stays out there.
Okay, that's fine then.
Um,
But I will still say that about the Cold War with the face dancers.
He nods. He understands what you mean.
out of
Long live
character.
William.
Out of character, Eric. Am I correct or incorrect in this memory that the face dancers that were working for Kyra were different, like faction or different beliefs?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that's why I said the last thing just now is because William had actually freed them from their master. That's one of the last things that he did was he killed the face dancer. Sorry, the Twi'lexid master that held them in their current state as essentially slaves of the Twi'lexid enforcers. He freed them, and he basically uh, proselytized them into this pseudo religion cult behind Kyra being the Kwisatz Haderach. So they're basically like fanatics of Kyra and thus House Cheshire. So they will fall on their own swords if you tell them to. Their ultimate thing is your protection. And the reason why is because when William provided them the genetics of Kyra's genetics, they were like, aha, so this is the true Kwisatz Haderach. And with this, we can create an entire society. We can change our own physiology and we can actually create our own society out there beyond uh, the range of the Imperium. Which will have ramifications for later on. But essentially, the face dancers staged the revolt, and this was a result or direct result of William's interventions and the slaying of his master, and so on and so forth. This is why they pledged their lives to Kyra in particular.
Begging your pardon, Lady Daphne, but these are not the face dancers that you are at war with.
I understand what she means, Merlot says. There's been a lot of blood spilled in the Cheshire household by face dancers. It would undoubtedly draw unnecessary negative attention, which at this point in time is ill warranted, perhaps.
I would be pleased and honored to have some Fremen accompany me, however.
Of course, the Tiberia await just beyond that curtain. You can call on them whenever you wish, for whatever reason. It's like, I will excuse myself now and proceed with the preparations. Your retinue wants to have a word with you, Naib. By your leave.
Yes, I'd like to speak with Lady Daphne alone for a moment.
Of course. He gets up and he leaves. Conqui, you're still in the room. Did you want to leave them to it, or did you want to stick around and listen?
Oh, I'd like to stick around and listen. It's
Of course.
Conqui.
Are you sure you wish to go through with this? This is dangerous.
I'm sure.
Even if you are not yourself after?
There is something like this that I've seen other women go through. And I understand how it changes. And I don't think it will. I'm very lonely, Sushir. Most of everyone I love is dead, and I can already tell that this is making me cold. And I don't want to be that.
You don't have to let it make you cold.
I can do something about it. I can do this.
And if it makes you more cold?
I trust Conky will do the necessary thing.
Sayadina, do you... Wait a minute. Does Conky come across as a Sayadina as well?
Only if she wants to.
Currently, Conky is just the envoy that is very peppy.
Okay, so he just gives
Definitely
you weird looks from
Sayadina
time to time.
material.
he just gives you weird looks from time to time.
Yeah, you don't know yet that that's me.
No, that's why I caught myself. I'm like, wait a minute, I don't know this.
I mean, but that's certainly an indication of some very deep trust. Like, if I really go off the rocker, she'll just kill me.
Yeah.
That is...
And the capability thereof of doing so.
I would hope that's not what it comes to, but there's another option if you don't wish to go through with this, if you change your mind. Marry me.
And that's where we'll go on break.
Whoa! That was a good one. Good job. Good job.
Holy
Good
shit.
job, Ambrose.
Shitbug.
And we have returned. We came back from our break. Where we last left off, we were having a little meeting in Sihaya Tavir, and it seems that Naib Zoshir posed a very interesting and pointed question to Lady Daphne. Duchess Daphne. How did she respond?
She was not expecting that, so she's thrown. And then Tuzo, she will say, but you don't love me.
I think I love you enough to keep you safe.
This is the person who put a blade to you and Masam's neck not, 2 weeks ago.
Is this an impulse, or have you thought this through?
A little bit of both. Honestly, I was uncomfortable with the thought of you not being you, or possibly not being there at all.
It's more than that. Your eldest daughter will inherit an Outframe house.
You think I'd
Queen?
care for... What?
Sorry, continue. Ignore me for a second. Private mess.
You think I care for your house politics?
I think you care for your eldest daughter.
If I were to have a daughter, yes.
If I were to marry you, you would definitely have a daughter. And a son.
How can you know for sure?
It's a trick. All Sayadinas know.
I would care for any child that I have.
And if I were to marry you, your eldest daughter would be my eldest daughter. And she would inherit House Cheshire.
Forgive me, I'm not sure what you're getting at.
We would have children together if we married. I'm not entering into a loveless political arrangement like what my uncle has.
I would expect no less.
So I assume we would engage in the normal activities of husband and wife. We would have children together. And, as is the tradition of House Cheshire, the house would be inherited by my eldest daughter. Your eldest daughter.
I'm not seeing a negative side here.
Just making sure
Except...
you're aware. The Landsrod will say that you kidnapped me and conditioned me and brainwashed me into agreeing. Or they'll call you my concubine. Or call me yours.
I would sooner fall on my crisp blade than you to be called my concubine.
The Landsrat can be vicious. especially when it comes to Fremen. And I'm sure I don't need to explain that to you.
The only negative side that I see to any of this is the danger that our children would be in being part of a house.
They would definitely be in very much danger. But my children would always have a claim on Arrakis, and your children would have a voice in the Landsraad. And I know that you don't care about outfraying politics, but they care about you. And they care about this world.
That is true. I don't much like to acknowledge that, but it is true.
Would this offer still stand if I go through with it? With the ritual?
I hadn't thought of that, only of keeping you safe. But yes.
Partially through this, Daphne, your hyper awareness kicks in. You sense Connie is no longer where she was because she's like that, and she just sort of drifts along the edges of the room. Zashir, you were engaged with this conversation with Daphne, and you only noticed after her vision strays from you for a moment. You glance over and you see there's like a flurry of activity by the curtain, and you see Conqui reaches out, grabs somebody, and puts a blade up to their neck. There's a blue haze for a moment of a shield that's just been activated that she's having difficulty pressing through. But she does manage to push through slowly and put the blade right up to Varys's neck. Varys, who seems to be had been listening in, as it were.
Oh dearie, we have unwanted eyes.
And ears,
You
I
can drop the act,
suspect.
whoever you are.
I'm exactly who I say I am, and I'm the one with a knife to your throat.
You're a Bene Gesserit witch, and we both lose. He says, look down. Just as you have a blade up to his neck, he's got a blade to your abdomen. Retrieve your blade, witch.
I just glance over at Daphne.
I would like an explanation.
Certainly, of course. If you could just remove your blade from my carotid artery, please.
Oh, I think explanations are due first. I might still survive.
Okay.
Conky.
Explanation, certainly. I'll ask you of one, and I'll give you one in return. Which one of you murdered my retainer?
Which retainer
Claire.
is this?
You know who I'm talking about, Nuri Randama. Crashed in the desert.
House of
Sabotage.
Cardis. We had this conversation in the
certain of this?
conservatory. House of Cardis
And how do you know that? How do you know that House of Cardis hasn't infiltrated your house already?
I don't.
Remove your blade. This is cold Varys. This is the Varys that, stood up for you at the banquet table to Miss Huber's challenge and drew first blood on her champion. Like, this isn't like, hey, I'm Bruce Wayne. You know, like it's not that persona. It's the hard, cold edge. Like I'm gonna slit your throat if you don't remove your blade. Varys, the duelist.
Conky.
Okie dokie then. I pull back.
Shuts off his shield, resheathes his blade. All right, I suppose it's my turn. What do you want to know?
Were you eavesdropping?
I was.
Is that what provoked whatever this was?
Well, that question for your handmaiden says. Quick flashback after the events of Kyra's funeral ritual. He didn't know what to say to you, so he just tried to comfort you in whatever way he felt was necessary. So, like, he'd grab your hand, uh, press it, and just he was generally just sort of there, silently standing by, waiting to hear, um, you know, what he needs to say to make you feel at ease. Um, and then, of course, he spent the night at the siege. Whether or not he conducted himself as a gentleman, and he's like, I'll seek out my own quarters unless say or whatever.
Oh, dang.
So it's up to it's Daphne to decide if that was the night that she said no, stay, or let him, uh, you know, keep his chastity, as it were.
So, I had a list of bad decisions that Daphne was going to make.
Oh, excellent.
And grief driven, I don't want to be alone tonight. I want to feel something other than grief and fear.
Right. Okay. So, given how you potentially feel about him now, post that evening, what do you say in this particular moment? He's obviously concerned, and he heard the words, marry me. And now he has a rival.
Oh, shit.
Would you like me to give you some privacy?
I would like to know who acted first in that little fracas.
Which one? Just now?
Where you were eavesdropping and Conky, why did you attack him?
When you see somebody that's not supposed to be there, you try to make sure that they don't catch you first.
So you're both
You see Varys
eavesdropping
like,
on me.
please, Daphne, allow me to attempt to defuse the situation. Miss Conky did not attack me. Let's just be clear. She attempted to try to disarm me in some manner, for your protection, presumably, and that's very admirable. But that's also why I was here eavesdropping. I am concerned for your safety. These are very uncertain times. I have no idea where I'm at. And presumably these people were aligned with your parents, but well, I must admit my ignorance is my sin. I wanted to know more information, and I wasn't invited to this particular meeting. And it was like you said back in Arakeen. If we are seen together, there's great risk poised to me and my house. My retainer is already dead. Murder, presumably, is of this house of Cardis, of which I know very little. And I do not want the same thing that befell her to befall you, or any of your entourage for that matter. I will not take offense to your handmaiden's um, offensive actions, such as they were. I will not constitute it as an attack, however.
Very well. Well, You didn't miss much except, let's see. I mentioned, I think briefly, about the Cold War that my house is currently fighting with some of the face dancers. And I am probably going to throw my lot in completely with the Fremen, Naib Soshir's proposal notwithstanding, which I haven't decided on yet.
One second. Secret messages.
And I find myself trying to decide what is best for me and what is best for my house, and what to do if they end up being separate things.
Sorry, I'm waging war over here. Yes. So you see, Varys is like, I understand that there are such things as political marriages, and these things are fraught with all sorts of things, and I understand and respect your decisions. However, if this is to be your decision, whether it be forced or not, I would like to be privy to those events. You, of course, get final say. It is your life, after all, your decision.
Well, spoiled for choice. I'm sorry for what happened last night. I shouldn't have done it.
He seems a little deflated when you say that, and he's like, I understand. And he's like, but I must confess, if you'll allow me before everyone here, that I admire you greatly, and you show a determination that I've not seen in anyone before. I too lost my own parents due to Canley, and suffered because of it. You handle such things with more grace than I could ever muster, and it's because of this that I undeniably have these feelings that I have to express to you, if you'll allow it, of course. Perhaps one can have one's heart belong to another in both of these worlds. You may be joined with the likes of the Naib here in the desert world. Meanwhile, in the Imperium, you may have another.
Looks to Zoshir.
It does not go against any tradition among the Fremen. If you love this man, I will not hold you back from being with him.
Zashir, you know for a fact that most Naibs have, or most Fremen have more than one partner. Not all of them, granted, but like that, like Stilgar, for example, is famous because he has like at least, well, currently he has one wife, but other Naibs have more than one in some cases. So, and that's canon.
I'm not going to give either of you an answer right now. I
I
have to
understand.
take care of a few things back at the palace, and then I'm going through the ritual, which I have been warned quite strenuously, may kill me, and if it doesn't kill me, it will change me. So, I don't want you to make promises to a woman who might not be here tomorrow.
Varys seems a little nervous about this when you say that. He's like, but I don't want another woman. I want you.
You might not like who I am when I come out.
I doubt that very much. But I nonetheless accept your decision.
Well then. You've both given me a lot to think about.
And I apologize for the outburst. When he kind of bows very formally to you, Conkley. And I mean, this guy's like silk and honey. Like you look at him, and you scrutinize him, and he's just like, "I'm sorry." And with your leave, Naib Zoshir, he kind of gives you like, "May the best man win" kind of gesture.
Zoshir is not going to do that back because he doesn't understand this rivalry thing going on right now.
He's like, "What do you mean? We could both have her. What's your problem?"
Jeez.
It's not a contest.
Jesus.
He's not from that world, and you get that. He leaves somewhat embarrassed, somewhat dejected. What do you do with in response to that interruption, or if you would like to continue your previous conversation?
I apologize. I didn't realize that he had intended to marry you.
I had suspicions. I invited him to my quarters last night.
Did he treat you well?
He treated me very well.
Then that's all I can ask.
I will have an answer for the both of you after I complete this ritual. But for now, I very much need to have a conversation with my aunt.
Here it comes. Okay. Unless anybody had any objections, we can fast forward to the moment where you adjourn your meeting at the Siege or the Ornithopter and head back to Arakeen to a very busy day at the palace. Ellis, you come to finally, and you find Amira and the Dr. Sloan in the confines of the medical bay. Beloved.
She cases the room very quickly to look like there's anything sharp nearby, just in case.
Various instruments that are sharp, yes.
Okay.
Just a little outside of your reach, but you can get there.
Okay, cool. Yes. Doctor, could you give us a moment alone, please?
Of course.
Thank you.
You feel your extremities are a little sore, and you have that weird tingly feeling on at your fingertips and your toes. She's like, "How do you fare?"
You have to listen to me very carefully now. You're not ever to leave my side again.
I never intended to leave in the first place.
You don't. I want to hear you say it right now. Swear it. A blood oath, and she's gonna grab grab one of the sharp instruments, just right across their hand right now.
What are you doing? I've got. I never want. Why are you asking me of this? This of me? Of course I never would leave your side. Why would I decide to do this so now?
I'm not saying metaphorically. I mean literally. We spend every moment by each other's side.
Of course. I adore you. She's like, she takes off one of the veils and like takes off her glove, and like takes the same thing and runs the blade through her hand as well, and clasps it.
All right, good. There's so much to tell you. It's
What
better.
happened? Why did you do that?
I needed to see a way through, a way where we wouldn't have to. You wouldn't have to kill my aunt. And by the way, I've learned the list would have ended with me most likely. There was no. This was a lose-lose gamble, but not gambit by them. Let me show you. Is there like, I'm sure they don't have whiteboards, but like something she can.
Yeah, you can take a film book and just
perfect.
Wipe the
So
slate.
she's going to
take a
draw
stylus.
she's going to draw the 5 nexus points with the questionable dark star in the middle, and then label them all. X out Kyra, and be like, this is who they wanted eliminated, so it's Mossum, and et cetera, et cetera. And then she's going to start to draw the observer and then scribble it out. Like once she starts like get any kind of idea of what it looked like, scribble it out immediately. And she's gonna be like, all right, so these are the nexus points they wanted me to find, and these are the ones they would want you to kill so they can see the future proper. But there's something worse, and she's gonna point to the now scribble. This is watching, and it knows I saw.
Who's watching? I don't understand.
Someone is watching everything.
She kind of like gives you this look for a second, and it kind of hits you really hard in the feels, but she kind of like touches your face with this look of pity, like, oh God, it's finally happened.
I slap her hand away. How dare you?
I'm sorry, my love. This has driven you to such lengths. I should have known that my decision would doom us all. I'll take full responsibility for it.
You will not?
Better me than you. I'll take the fall so that you can live.
No, you can't. I've seen this. You can't do this.
We have to. You have to see this through for the both of us. You have to survive this.
I will survive this. You just swore to stay by my side. Are you about to break that promise? She still has a head.
I will always be with you, of course.
This I said not metaphorically. You swore not metaphorically.
The only way out of this is if we leave. If hand in hand we go rogue and we leave this place.
Then we leave. Let's go right now.
No, we can't do that.
Yes, we can.
You took an entire month's worth of melange. How else are we going to get a supply for you? You'll die of the agony that comes.
I have 5 months worth. We'll figure it out. And she just starts walking towards the exit, just ignoring.
I did this to buy us time. Where are you going? She's chasing after you. And then the doors open up, and you see Daphne Cheshire and her entourage coming in from outside.
Oh, I actually have a plan for how Daphne wants to stage this.
Okay, perfect.
She's going to set up a conference room with herself and with Varys. And Conky is probably lurking about. And then she is going to contact Pardo Reed. Say, Mr. Reed.
Sounds like a house meeting.
Please summon my aunt to this room. Please also let her know that she can bring whomever she wishes. But if Amira crosses my eye line, I will kill her.
I see. Will do.
Okay. So you radio ahead. Master Reed, you get to prepare a room. Prepare this place for us. And is there anybody else that's part of the entourage that will be present? I'm assuming Naib's the Sheer is staying behind with,
Yeah.
with the Tiberii. Okay.
Yeah, probably the Tiberii. Certainly some armed guards.
Okay.
I was with Pardo, so
Fair enough. So we have a pseudo house meeting taking place in this conference room inside the palace. Everybody is present, with the exception of Zashir. Zashir, you can take you can take the role of a Tiberii if you wish for the present moment. This is the house guard.
No.
And am I understanding that you want Amira not to be present and only Elois brought to the
Oh.
chamber?
Amira can be present, but if she crosses Daphne's eye line, Daphne will kill her.
Okay. But you're going to be in the conference room, correct? So they're going to just keep Amira in the back somewhere, like
Eloise
outside the
can
door.
do with that information whatever she wants.
So this is
Okay.
something Archibald could probably help with. He'd probably be like, touch her shoulder, like, just wait, and just kind of like bring her back into the shadow a little bit. And I tell her to
Amira,
stay
you
behind
mean?
me at all times.
Okay. I'm assuming Pardovri doesn't sugarcoat any of this. Like he says it verbatim as he receives the orders. Very good. Okay. So we have a scene on our hands here. As you, I'm assuming that the conference room is fairly large. We're gonna say round tables, whatever, glow globes lurking about, and in the background, in the shadowy confines of this conference room, is I would assume Conquistent on one side and one of the Tiberii on the other, and the Duchess sitting down waiting.
And probably Varys
Reed
right behind her.
with Varys right behind her.
Because I have a couple lines he needs to hear.
Very good. Pardo Reed enters the room and brings the rest of you in with him. 1 second here.
So, on the table in front of her, Daphne has the box. Kyra's memento.
Oh shit.
I assume Eloise has no recognition of that.
Yeah.
Okay. What is this about?
Nope. Nope. Daphne just stares coldly, not saying a word.
Eloise will turn and look at Pardo like...
Yeah, Pardo begins to sweat. This never happens.
I think
like
that's when Eloise begins to be nervous now. When she sees that Pardo is nervous. She'll just kind of nod and sit down slowly.
Dear aunt, I assume you know why I'm wearing a black veil today.
Yes.
I assume you know the deeper reason why.
Yes.
I'm going to ask you one question. And if you lie to me, I will break my rule against kin killing. Did you love your sister?
I loved both my sisters. The only reason my uncle lives is because you told me he didn't do it.
And I want you to think of that white, hot anger that you carried for Archibald all those years, that you thought he killed your father. Do you begrudge me that same anger?
No.
Do you know what this is? This box?
I don't.
It's a relic. She'll open it and show Eloise the stones. It's a lover's token. They're stones, said to glow when they're in the presence of soulmates. They glowed for Adelaide and Kyra. Because Adelaide loved Kyra, and because you loved Adelaide, you have one chance. Marshall Reed, is
Yes.
Amira on the palace grounds?
She is.
Alright. Tell Amira she has 1 hour to leave. And
Why don't you tell her yourself? She says, in the doorway.
I say, do you want to get yourself killed? Shut up.
Marshall Reed, please
Yes.
inform Amira that she has 1 hour to vacate the palace. And if at any point you see her within the next, 59 minutes and 56 seconds?
And
Kill
counting.
her. Take her up to an ornithopter, push her out, or stake her for a sandworm. If you find her anywhere on Jabberwock, then as the matron of Jabberwock, kill her. She can go anywhere else in the entire Imperium she wishes, but if she sets foot on one piece of equipment, on one scrap of soil, owned by House Cheshire within the next 58 minutes, she will die. And Eloise, do not take this as me releasing you from service. You are bound to the house. You are a Cheshire. And, just so we're crystal clear, as we play the game of alliances, Eloise Cheshire is back on the board as a viable marriage candidate.
Eloise will stand up and slam her hands on the table. I gave the order to her. I'm the one who's responsible. So if she leaves, I leave.
No,
Period.
you remain in the house, and she is forbidden from entering any house grounds. And Mr. Reed, I know
Yes.
that I am something of a lax hand. I let you hire my kidnapper and bring him into the house. I have let you interpret certain orders loosely. If I find that you have willingly looked for a loophole, defied this order, tried to bend it, I will make sure that you share Amira's fate.
Let's see. How sparse are the decorations of this room? Is there anything on the table?
Just the box.
Better question, do I still have sharp object from the infirmary?
You can make that trait. We can make it happen.
Okay.
You have, let me see. I think we have no momentum, but you can pay me in threat.
I would love to pay a threat.
Okay. So let's see. You want to create an asset right now. And if my knowledge doesn't betray me.
Oh, one more thing, Eloise. When the Padishah Emperor Shaddam Carino summons our entire house to explain why his favorite consort and mother of his son is dead, you get to explain that to him.
As if he
Oh.
cared.
I'll be busy breaking Mossum's heart again.
So you can remove and create traits in the room by spending momentum or gain threat or spending a determination point. But I believe there was a way that you can create an asset just for the scene if you wanted to by spending a point of some kind. I can't remember exactly which one it was. Help me out here, Devin. You remember what it was?
Assets can be created for a scene by spending 2 momentum, and then you have to spend a determination to make it permanent.
There it is. So you don't have to make it permanent. You can just pay me 2 threat, and you could have, you know, acquired that little scalpel thing from the Dr. Sloane's office. Dr. Sloane, who's currently not here right now, by the way.
Yes. Yeah, please have 2 threat. Enjoy them.
Okay.
I have a follow-up question then. Who's the closest person to me?
Because you were led in by Pardo and Archibald is the one holding Amira back. I'm guessing it's one of those 2.
Let me just do a quick check in our side chat.
Should I be asking if everyone's cool with PvP at this
Yes,
point?
thank you. That was what I was about to ask in DUNE chat.
Okay.
It's time.
Great.
I'm fine, but I'm taking Lady Death.
That's fine. No, I really don't expect anyone to take my side. I'm fine. So Archibald tentatively is close to Amir, so if he's a problem, I can trust Amir to take care of it. I'm going to make a foolish decision. You might also call it a impulsive and reckless decision.
Yeah.
I'm going to try to grab Pardo Reed and put the scalpel to his neck.
Outstanding. No! Roll battle, both of you. Archibald, I need you to make a communication test very high.
Very high? Jesus.
Very high. Yep. Like really high.
Oh my god.
I love Key's reaction to this.
I may have been the one person in this room who was on your side.
I'm sorry, Pardo. I'm sorry, Key.
I'm in danger.
I'm in danger.
Seems like that's your lot in life, Pardo.
Look, if it's a consolation, Pardo, I'm going to be the one who generates the threat this season. Oh no! Oh no!
Hold on, no. I have a lot of threat that I have to dispense with here.
Oh, Jesus!
Oh no!
And I have 2 malevolence. I'm gonna call it 1 malevolence, though. Roll those dice. Oh, Mira, you're.
I saw, Drea. I'm saving it for a more crucial role.
How is this not a crucial role?
I'm not rolling right now.
Archibald, you need to beat 4. You need to meet or exceed 4 successes.
Oh, to intersect with.
You're trying to convince Amira to not kill everyone in this room right
now.
Escape with Elois.
Gotcha.
Good luck.
Yeah,
Godspeed.
Okay, well, we'll try. We'll see.
You may want to use that determination point now. You need to meet or exceed 4 successes, please.
I'm 100% using a determination on here, and this is a communicate and what?
Well, it's up to you what you decide. If this is for your own game, this is going to be power for you.
This is going to be.
You want to bring her to your fold? Okay, so go ahead and combine those. And if you want to, you currently have no momentum, my friends. So if you want to buy some extra dice, you're gonna have to see the wholesaler here on threat.
Yeah.
It's a bad time for this scene. It's a real bad time for this scene.
What would you like? How much would you like?
How much threat am I giving you?
It's up to you. It's up to you how much you want. You know, if you want to get 2 dice, it's going to cost you 3 threat, and if you want 3 dice added to your already 2, it's going to cost 6 threat.
Okay.
Let's go 30. Let's go 30.
How much 30? Wait, Wait, so it's just 30 in all?
No. I'm making a joke. Okay. You need, if you want 1 extra die to add to your 2, it's going to cost 1 threat. If you want 2 dice, it's going to cost 3 threat. And if you want 3 dice additional, it's going to cost you 6
You know
threat.
what? Let the chaos reign. This is an important role. Let the chaos reign. So communicate, power, 3 dice, submit, using
Oh.
What?
Okay. You're adding 3 dice to your 2?
Yeah.
That's
No,
6
I'm
threat.
adding 1 dice. I'm sorry.
Oh. Okay. So I get 1 threat from you.
Yep.
then.
I'm using my focus.
Roll your
I'm
3
also
dice.
going-
Good luck. You're gonna have to
also
roll
gonna
really
use the
well to beat that.
determination point as well.
Oh, okay.
Yep, I'm using
Very good.
I'm using my determination.
Go ahead and roll.
point.
That's 2 successes with a determination point. That's 4. So you just meet the threshold, and you're like, stay back. This isn't worth your life. This isn't worth both of your lives. And you see that she's already unsheathed her blade and like ready to go to town. And you something about the way that you lock eyes with her, and you're like, you assert your posture, your command. And you're like, trust me, stay back. He has reason to trust you now more than he did before. So because that dynamic has changed, she bites her tongue and just lowers the blade. However, we have to resolve Elois's move, which was to take Pardo Reed by the neck with her blade. Pardo Reed is no slouch when it comes to combat, however, so this is going to be an opposed battle check. Obviously, Pardo, you should roll first, and then that will set up the difficulty for Elois. This is probably very crucial, so you may want to roll well, given what might happen right now.
I assume this is a battle roll.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to choose justice. I will get revenge on those who wrong me. Feels
Okay.
right. Feels right.
And I will be using power with he who can destroy a thing, controls a thing as the statement. As Pardo is not holding back and immediately pulls the bodkin out of his sleeve and attempts like a counter maneuver.
Counter move, yeah. All right. So go
I'm
ahead and
going down,
roll
you're going
battle.
down. 3 successes.
Fuck.
Successes. So you immediately try to grab a hold of Pardo Reed.
Real quick,
Benevolence.
I would like to spend a determination to match 3.
Oh shit. Well, for that you're gonna have to buy an extra die from me at 1 threat or 2 threat. I'm gonna say. I'm gonna give myself 1.
Sold.
Okay, so you get a die and you can roll it. Well, actually, no. In this case, it's an automatic success. So you matched him, and you're both kind of like, moving against each other. And she manages to pull a move where she wraps one of your arms behind your back and puts the blade up to your neck. This little like doctor's scalpel tool.
This is not personal, Pardo Reed, but I will not stand by this.
I believe Concrete Scent has something to say.
Drop it and sit down.
How much are you dropping here? Is it 3? Am I earning 3 threat from you?
You are earning 3 threat.
Fantastic.
Jesus Christ! Are we all suicidal?
You get a threat. You get a threat.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Hey, we're all on this train together.
It's a roller coaster ride into hell.
I've already been offering him ideas as to what to use it with.
So Shear's minding his own business in his siege, and all of a sudden a sandworm just falls on him and kills him. That's what's gonna happen.
No,
I
no.
promise you 30 threat does not buy you that, no.
Chat has already decided at 30 threat somehow Daphne marries Raban.
Even I wouldn't be that cruel.
Okay, because
I'd be
either
crueler, but...
one of us would die.
Concrete, go ahead and roll communications and give yourself those 3 extra successes. Elois, I need you to make a very, very good discipline roll.
Sure. I assume self-control absolutely applies here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I will still use justice here as well.
Perfect.
And I apparently have 2 benevolences under me as well that I might use.
Well, there you go. You have some rerolls you can make.
I'm not sure how much they matter, but I will do my best. Using focus, yes. Let's go. Ooh, I would absolutely love to re-roll that 20 I just rolled.
Please re-roll that 20.
It's /roll, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
miss.
again,
Sure.
I'll use both benevolences here, apparently. Oh my god!
Wow.
Come on, roll
Wow.
like crap.
Oh no! I will just roll like shit and drop my
Wow.
knife.
Yeah, that's
So
5
LOS
successes against you. So
Wow. Okay.
Wait, 3 total? Hold on. Why
no.
do I have 3 total?
No. Oh,
I'm sorry, I'm reading
No.
chat about benevolences.
So he got 3 automatic successes because that's how the voice works. But he pays me in threat, which doesn't translate to momentum for you in this particular event. But it does net you a momentum, I suppose.
We might need that.
You might need that. I'm gonna give myself a point of threat because things are spiraling out of control very quickly, and the more that this continues, the more threat I'll get. So there you go. Conqui Sun's voice reverberates throughout the room and just penetrates your defenses, LOS, and you're just kind of like blindsidedly, and you like with tears in your eyes, you drop the blade, hands shaking, it clatters to the ground. Pardo Reed, how would you like to proceed? Would you like to reverse the hold, or put her in a chair, or restrain her? How do you want to proceed currently?
Pardo just wants to get out of the hold.
Sure, slip right off. Like it's just like she lets go and just proceeds to sit down, and just like her hands are quavering on the table. Amira makes eye contact with you, Archibald, like as if to ask, "Did you really mean what you said? What you whispered into my ear?"
Yes, and with that, I'm actually going to start escorting her out of the room because she's only got an hour.
Yeah, this isn't over, she says, as you're pulling her away, and the doors shutter close automatically.
You don't understand. You're playing into the bad future.
Really, and here I thought I was showing you some measure of mercy. A cruel mercy, but what would you have done if you had Archibald at your power and he'd actually murdered?
If I knew what I knew now, I would have changed my mind.
Change my mind, dear aunt.
You won't believe me. My beloved didn't even believe me. She thought I'd lost it. So what's the point?
Then I suppose my orders stand.
Daphne, Varys takes all of this in, doesn't say anything, and then he leans in, whispers in your ear, and he's like, "How do we know that Amira isn't with them? How do we know she isn't an agent of House of Cardis?"
Because she's not acting out of hate for me. She's acting out of love for Eloise.
Timetables don't add up either. When Afghardis did their things, she was either with us or somewhere else. I highly doubt.
But you didn't hear this, Archibald. You're like walking Amira out of the building, out of the palace. This was just something that he privately shared.
Oh
with,
no, I thought
Daphne.
I thought she dipped out by herself. Okay, gotcha. Never mind. Sorry.
No, you're escorting Amira out, and so like the rest of this meeting is taking place. It only takes a short while before she, they basically escort her. You send a couple of troops to escort her the rest of the way out, and be like, "Get the fuck out of here, or we'll shoot you," under orders of the Duchess. And then you can turn back around. You come in the next moment or so, as the rest of the meeting takes place.
Norma will wander to behind Eloise and put her hand on her shoulder, ever so gingerly, and say, "Oh, please, dearie, tell us. Tell us what your beloved wouldn't believe."
Very well. reason the Duchess's mother is dead is because she was one of the 5 Nexus points that is obscuring the future from the Guild and the Navigators. The other 4 are myself, the Lady Daphne, Amira's next target had I allowed it, Mossum, and someone I couldn't see. And there's something worse. There's someone watching it all play out. And they know that I saw.
Who's watching?
I couldn't face them properly. It was too much.
How long have they been watching?
Forever. All timelines. All time. The entire universe.
Well, I hope this entity has been entertained by your temper tantrum.
Temper tantrum. Very well.
I don't know what you expect me to do with the information that some oversoul has been watching me since the moment of my birth.
Not you.
Oh, her.
She turns to look at Confi, probably not really recognizing her at all. You understand then.
I guess you could say she's your mother. She's all navigators' mothers. Wait, is there anybody in this room that doesn't know who I really am?
Archibald.
I think
No,
Varys,
Archibald
Eloise does not. Eloise has no clue.
Archibald
Varys
left,
knows
so it's
you're
Pardo.
Bene Gesserit, but I don't think knows and probably wouldn't care because he didn't know Norma all that well anyway.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll drop that.
No, didn't. Okay.
You walked out to walk with Amira.
Yeah,
So
but
you
I thought you
heard-
said I came back right after, but it's fine.
Yeah, but this is only like 30 seconds.
Yep, you're right. Okay, go on.
So I'll drop the act. The progenitor of navigators. My lodestone, if you will. I look towards Daphne. You will get one too if you go through the agony.
What a delightful thing they call it.
It was rather fitting. So she's
Well-
still alive watching us.
Is there
I
anything
don't-
we should make of this information that this otherworldly being is watching us? Because I'm more concerned with material issues at hand, to wit, Amira seems hell-bent on exterminating House Cheshire.
She will not. I stopped her from ending your life. She was only doing it to protect us and keep us safe, because they will come for me. She didn't know that I was going to be on the list eventually, but I surely will be, because I'm one of the people obscuring the future they want to see.
Well,
Please, please, please change your mind. Do not separate me from her. I'll do anything. I swear it.
What did you get out of
I'm not saying
this first?
that you have to live apart. I'm just saying she's not allowed on Cheshire property. Live in a hovel in the District of Arakeen for all I care, as long as you remain loyal to the house and I never have to see her again.
How can you ever expect loyalty to me when you banish the person I love? The only person I love that's alive still.
I could have this case brought before the Landsred, make it official, have her on trial for murder.
I've already seen this future. It's a bad one. For all of us.
All of us or just you? Varys asks.
I'm sorry, who are you?
Oh, I'm Varys. He bows respectfully. He's just like, oh, Varys Zavon of House Chol.
I've never seen you in any vision. You're not important. She'll turn back to Daphne.
You rely too much
Disheartening,
on
is it?
visions, Aunt.
Yes, tell us, what did your vision? How did your visions bring you to this moment?
What have you seen of me in your visions?
One time I saw you sit on the throne, cold and calculating, judging Amira's fate, or perhaps my own. One time it was Massam on the throne.
Well,
Both times you had lost everything that made you who you were.
Well, the future with Massam on the throne is the one to be avoided. That would make him miserable. And Daphne will look to Varys. I told you our house had secrets.
Well, Daphne, a future with you on the throne would be a far cry from what Cairo would have wanted.
If I'm on the throne, then everyone I care about really is dead.
They're going to come for us now, you know.
Well, then we better start working together.
Well, this has been a very eventful afternoon. Varys says, looking at Daphne. He just kind of lets the look linger for a moment, and he just kind of excuses himself and enters into the adjoining foyer, as it were.
So is he waiting for Daphne to come talk to him?
Yeah, he wants to speak privately.
Am I free to go now?
Marshal Reed, please have some of the Tiberii shadow her in case she does something rash again.
If it is all the same to you, Duchess, I would like to escort her out personally.
As you see fit. Are you well?
Yes. Yes, I'm unharmed, thankfully.
Apologies, Pardo Reed. I was...
Silence. Now walks.
Wow.
And the moment we're out of earshot. Okay, so this was not ideal at all. What were you thinking?
I wasn't. She's kind of look at like she's perplexed like on every level right now.
This explains a lot. Now, and he leans in to whisper as quietly as physically possible because Bene Gesserit are terrifying. This is the first time I have ever heard a threat against my life from her. I do not intend to uphold any of these orders now.
Oh shit.
She Eloise appraises Pardo and then you're like, I see. Escort me as roughly as one would whose life was just threatened out of the building to go see Amira, please.
And Pardo will yell something to the effect of continue, scum, right? Like, keep moving. Grab her by the shoulder, give her a shove. And going for like another shove, and while like close enough to whisper, just like give a set of coordinates to somewhere on Arrakis for like a dead drop, a meetup place to scheme more and just keep going, like move.
I see. So you're exchanging communication with Eloise to meet clandestinely somewhere. Interesting. Okay. All right. 1 second. Secret messages. Kind of exploding at the moment. It's like
And then Pardo was never seen again.
So I mean, just don't get caught. Like, give a woman a break who's just lost everything. She's angry and grieving.
I mean, same trauma. Just did a bunch of drugs and lost her mind a little bit. You know, same thing, right?
Happens. so everybody kind of disperses in their own way, split off like blue angels. Conquest-san and Lady Daphne. I know what the rest of you are doing for the most part, but what about you two?
Daphne will go talk to Varys.
Connie?
Oh, Connie's gonna tail Eloise slash Amira because I want to know where they're going.
Okay. You're following each other. All right. You went to the anteroom with the adjoining room with Varys, and Varys is just kind of like facing the wall with his hands behind his back. When he hears you come in, he kind of turns towards you, and he puts a delicate hand on your arm. Are you all right?
That didn't go how I was expecting it. I wasn't expecting Eloise to lash out, although I probably should have foreseen it.
How much do you trust your aunt? She seems unbalanced. Talk of the
Conky?
future. No, Eloise. She's unhinged, isn't she? She's talking about the future and these beings that are constantly watching. Are you sure you can trust her?
No.
So you lied to her.
I never said I trusted her.
But you said that you would take her back into the house. She would be a piece on the board. Do you intend to use her?
If I can.
In my own personal experience, people like Eloise are not able to be fully trusted. So you're right. Your instincts are correct. However, they're also very unstable. Someone once said, never trust a traitor. And what she committed today was, at least in my eyes, tantamount to treason. Are you sure you want to try to handle her? If her fire for her lover burns deep, try to manipulate that, it could end up burning you as well.
She used to work for the guild. She was supposed to be a navigator.
Somehow that doesn't increase my trust of her view of her.
She's had visions before.
Have they come true?
I hope not. One of them was of a stone burner being used on Arrakis.
You said you were the one who told me the Harkonnens are planning on using a stone burner.
Based on
Have
her
you confirmed
vision.
that?
It's based on her vision and everything I saw of Raban, of the commander there.
If you're planning on using her,
Desperation.
Daphne, in any capacity, I recommend you do so with white gloves. Just that one is dangerous. Unpredictable, perhaps.
I understand why she's doing what she's doing. I understand why Mira's doing what she's doing.
I certainly do as well. She's doing it out of love and, well,
But I
I
can't.
suppose I would do the same in her position.
I can't forgive the woman who took Kyra away from me. I
Of
can't.
course you can't.
I can't look at her. I can't work with her.
We could use that connection. If her visions proved, as you say, to be fruitful in any way,
You understand why I'm
can-
reluctant to cut her loose.
yes. If her visions prove useful, we can perhaps predict the trap before we walk into it. We can anticipate Raban's next move. We can change the face of Arrakis with such power. But you're dealing with this division between lovers. And when you do that, things get bloody fast. If you want to control, if you want to harness this power of hers, you're gonna have to control the one thing she can't live without. And that's a Mira. Are your people capable of handling that?
What are you suggesting? We take her prisoner? Hold her as a hostage against Eloise's good behavior?
Perhaps not so direct. Maybe perhaps a more hands-off approach might be best. Keep her well monitored. Perhaps use one of your entourage to gain her trust. Tag her, keep her monitored. And if Eloise steps out of bounds, we cut her loose.
It's a good suggestion.
It's just a suggestion. And of course, I'm at your disposal. Although I would prefer to be by your side, if possible.
I would like that too, but I can't give you a formal answer until I go through this ritual and sees what it makes of me.
I understand. Whatever you decide, it'll be worth the wait, he says. And now we'll shift over to Naib Zoshir. So, you are confronted after your meeting, after Daphne and the others leave, by your other Tiberii, Nelia and... Oh my god, why am I blanking on her name? Herdy.
Oh.
No, just those two. Those two meet with you, and they're like, so, we're gonna have to talk about it, huh?
Yes, please.
And they look at each other and they look back to you. We didn't actually know until now one told us. Well, we didn't know how to react, but she assured me that, well, your parents were good people in the siege, and despite, your father being an outframe, but being an Harkonnen, that he was the exception to the rule. He's like, we've been tasked since you were brought to our siege to protect you, and that's exactly what we're going to do now, until we both die, I suppose. Nelia, stoic as ever, it's like, we're wasting time, Naib. We have to make a path to Siege Tabir to meet with Stilgar and summon the rest of the Naibs for the council. Merlad is right. We're running out of time. Every moment that we delay the Razia, the Harkonnens are enriching themselves. The sooner they recognize your authority, and the sooner we begin this raid, the sooner we'll be rid of them. Present company excluded, of course.
Well, I did wish to wait for Lady Daphne for the input of House Cheshire. We at least have to wait until then.
Waiting on these outframe. So sheer, I don't know. It's going to be difficult. And it's like, very well, as you will. It's like, but we will have to send communiques to Stilgar and the other Naibs. However, did you want to convene a council here or elsewhere?
Here. Let me show them my hospitality.
It'll likely take a week to summon them all here, but we can have it done. Is there anything else that you need us to do?
Not at the moment, but I need to hear more about my parents. I saw them in a vision when that night. They were the ones who told me what I needed to do. But I don't recall them looking like a Sayadina and a Harkonnen.
No, we don't know much about your parents. They look at each other, and Herdy's like, well, now one can tell you. Now one probably has more information than the both of us do. That means we're going to have to head out to Hagaharg. Did you want to do that so soon? Or did you want to wait until after? Oh, okay. Well, ready the ornithopter. I'll fly. And then you see Nellie says, no, you won't. Okay, I'll go pilot.
This is gone way out of what I had expected would be in my hands.
Just then, they get everything prepared. But it's probably by late evening that you travel out to Hagaharg to meet with Nawan and the others. They send a distrans to kind of let them know that you're on your way early in the day. You arrive and they receive you in the customary manner. Welcome, Naib Zoshir, back to your home siege of Hagaharg. Nawan receives you and you kind of, you go to ask about your heritage. She wants to know about everything that's happened so far, what happened to Kyra. It's a long story, obviously, if you want to fill her in about that. She starts telling you about your parents, and just then you hear some commotion taking place outside. It's a commotion you know very well. There's a raid being committed outside, or in the siege rather, at night while during the daytime while everyone's kind of asleep. So everybody grabs their arms and they ready themselves, and everybody, even Nawan, and you race down the corridor. There seems to be the struggle is already over by the time you get there. There only appear to be maybe like a pack of like 4 or 5 of them, but they're not Harkonnens. They're Fremen. They bring them before you, since your people caught them. Naib, Nelia says, and grabs the mask and the hood off of one of the Fremen, throws the hood back. And you recognize some of the markings and some of the colors of the scars that they wear. These are the Idwali. We caught them in the catch basins below. They were trying to steal the water. Should we spill their water now in the sand? Give us the command, and we shall do so. They put their blades to their throats, and just then you feel the presence of your parents nearby, and you remember what they said. You will need the Idwali to win. Now you need to make a decision. Will you spill their water, as Fremen tradition demands, or will you betray that tradition and spare the lives of the Idwali, of the cast out? And that's where we'll stop for this evening. All right. That's all the time we have for this session. I hope everyone here and those watching enjoyed the show. We will continue our adventures into the Imperium next Friday at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Let's just go around the virtual tabletop one more time to remind everybody who you are and where they can find you online, who you played this evening, beginning with Leo.
Hello, my name is Leo. You can find me at Leo of the Black, where I do video games and stuff like that. And today, very tense. Yeah. But to be honest with you, it kind of helped him a little bit as well. So we had some good things happen, especially with Bardot and especially with Eloise. Now she has a reason to get off the planet.
Very good, very good. Key.
Hello, I am Keysam. You can find me on Twitter at TrueKeysam. And tonight I have been part of Mentat.
Excellent. Ambrose.
Hey everybody, I'm Ambrose. My pronouns are he or they. You can find me all over the internet as AmChangeling, on Etsy at Thornkind. And here in Dune, being utterly cliffhangered by Eric. And you can also find me again Monday evening, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, for those of you who live on this end of the continent. Words. I tried.
Aaron?
Hello, everyone. I am once again Aaron. You can find me in whichever as Cthulhu. You can next find me. I don't know what we're gonna do, but on Thursday I'll be over at my beloved partner's channel, Dre LaFay. We're gonna be playing something together. Unfortunately, our third piece of our collab on Thursday is he's having his baby, so he will no longer be joining us for a little bit. So yeah, we're gonna figure out something.
Good. Devin.
First, congratulations. Second, I'm Devin. You can find me online at Sort of Sully. Tonight I have been Conquest and Norma. And
You will find me here next week.
Yes.
Excellent. And last but not least, of course, Rachel.
2 weeks. I was planning all that scene out of my head for 2 weeks.
Got a feeling.
Yes. No, because I like to let my mind wander while I do dishes and stuff. Yes, my name is Rachel. I was playing the very cold-hearted Duchess Daphne. And I was going back and forward on if I should actually threaten Pardo. That appears to have been a mistake. It's fine. I'll die next week taking the poison because we have no momentum. We're all gonna die.
Nope, and he has a shit ton of threat.
Yeah, that'll be great. So you can find me Stolen Fires pretty much everywhere on the internet. You can find this show on Twitch for the next 7 days. After that, you can find this and all other Dune shows over on the YouTube channel. You can guess the name. Yes, it is Stolen Fires. Follow me on Twitter, Twitch, and Instagram for more updates as far as when you can see me next. Monday, there is Victory, Vigilance, and Sacrifice, Dragon Age Game of the Fourth Blight. They're going to Orton Tig to ask the dwarves for help. I'm sure everything will go easy and wonderful. After that, there will be Curse of Strahd. She is the Ancient. I know WotC has been kind of jerk faces recently, but like they've just made a bunch of fuck-ups, and they've mostly just hurt themselves. So we're gonna continue running Curse of Strahd because it sucks to have to give up a character halfway through its arc. That's probably the last D&D show we'll ever have on this channel. And then Wednesday I stream Dragon Age 2. And then there are a bunch of cool shows currently being planned. We might be doing an Avatar: The Last Airbender show. There is a BattleTech game using the fate rules that the GM just sort of made up by himself. So, yeah, follow the Twitter for more updates on that. And thank you so much for Eric, and thank you for my fellow players. PvP is always fraught, but I love you all as people.
Yes, I love you all as well. I had a lot of fun.
Characters do to each other.
It was great.
Our messy family and messy characters is always a wonderful treasure. And also, I want to reiterate: fuck World Wizards of the Coast.
I want you to know, Eloise, you are literally the same boat General Archibald is in now.
How the tables have turned. Excellent. Well, I've been Eric at Modern Recluse Online. You can find me here Friday night at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Big thanks as always to our viewers and fans for tuning in. And remember, never sit with your back to the door. Always remember your shield emitter and be careful who you trust, for in the game of houses, nothing is truly as it seems. Good night, everyone.